Would you say that her mother, like the mother's jealousy grew into resentment, or would you say hate, Shaquana?
I'm listening. Um, with her mother's it grow into resentment. I don't think that she liked her mom. I think I agree with what you said last week. Her mom was jealous of her.
Yeah.
I think her mom had one of those complexes where it was like, you can't take my husband away. I'm the woman of the household. I'm the only woman that he can love. And I think that she resented the relationship that the two of them had because it seems like they had somewhat of a bond that what was her sister name?
Oh, well, don't give me that. Start saying names. I
I
remember
want to call
Brooklyn's
her
name
Honey
after
so bad,
that.
but I
No,
know
you
her
wasn't.
name wasn't Honey because that was not religious. But sister didn't have with him. He and Brooklyn had somewhat of a special relationship. And that kind of piggybacks off what we talked about last week. I think they were one and the same person. When we was talking about, she called him a whore, and you were saying, that, she couldn't call they was one and the same. And the mama
But you
knew
know
it from the
what?
beginning.
So I didn't think about that. So the mother and father, you think that the daughter and the father's relationship, you think that the mother was jealous of that. So that brings me to this. That's
Hmm.
why when her brother tried, she knew that her stepbrother, really did something to
Hmm.
her.
Hmm.
I think that made her even madder because it's like now another man wants you.
Right, right. Right. And she was like, we ain't having that. And that's why she got mad and upset with her. But I want to go back just a little bit, guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Black Girl Book Club podcast. I've been going a mile a minute today, but I'm Shaquana.
Now I am Patrice.
And we are your hosts of the Black Girl Book Club podcast. The Black Girl Book Club podcast. The Black Girl Book Club podcast. Hey. And tonight we are talking about Brooklyn by Tracy Brown. We started this conversation last week and we didn't want to rush the ending. So we brought it into this week. So this week is the finale. It's part two, should you say. So last week we talked about Brooklyn and her family. So it's her mom, her dad, her brother, who is gay, right? And then her
Mhm.
sister, her little sister, who
Hope.
is like Hope, not Honey, Hope. The
Thank you,
like
Anita.
the savior of the family, right? So the family dynamic is they're very religious, but they are not very Christ-like. Did I say that right? So the mom and daddy is stealing from the church the money. That's all the mother cares about is their image and their image within the church. Like Patrice said, Brooklyn was almost molested by the family friend when they were younger. And that changed. Do you feel like that changed the trajectory of her life? Or would
What?
she have gone this way regardless of what happened with the uncle?
I think that is I think she was already super independent, but I do think that's where it changed. And so when her uncle did that, it changed her because he did it to her. She saw how her mother really felt about her, and her dad knew that it was true, and he had her back, and he let the mother sway him. So it at that point she lost faith in her mother and her father. And I think that's what, and then she lost faith in the church as well, because all that they kept saying was, if this gets out, it's going to mess up the church. It's going to mess up this. And what about the church? And you a pastor, and what about this? So it was never about what about her. It was always about the church. And so I think at that point she lost faith in both of her parents. And I think that that's where things turned for her.
So you think that what happened that night?
Changed the trajectory of her whole life as far as her mother, her father, and the church.
So you don't think that that was embedded in her, like
Oh, I
the
think she had a wild hair up her ass for sure.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But this grew to the point where she lost a lot of respect for her mother, and she lost respect for the church. And
mm-hmm.
she still had an inkling of something for her father, but she had a quiet disappointment in him.
Because he was sleeping with all the women in the church and was supposed to
And
be the pastor.
and he was supposed to have been the pastor. And plus, he didn't protect her. He initially tried to protect her, but he let her mother talk her out of it. Talk him out of it. I'm sorry.
Right. So we got past the childhood trauma, right? So now she is this, I don't want to call her like a sneaky little girl, but she's
She is
ditching
sneaky.
school.
She
She
is sneaky.
she is sneaky.
Okay,
She
Shaquana, anytime
uh,
you get a girl, a person who is a minor, who creates a fake job, manipulates your brother because she didn't, you know what? She manipulated her brother. She was not super close to her brother. She walked in on them and seen what was going on. The other sister was closer to him. The other sister knew what was going on. Brooklyn was so wrapped up in her life that she didn't even see it. When she saw what he was doing, she saw it as a way that I could work this into my life. She saw
mm-mm,
it as a way like I can, you know what, if I confide in you, you know, then I can get what I want. I'm gonna keep your secret, you keep mine. But at the same time, I
mm-mm.
need you to fake like I got a job uptown so that I can go to New York and be with this grown ass man that's way too old for me. She manipulated her brother because look at how easy it was for her to spill his tea.
I feel like y'all is giving Brooklyn a bad. There was no doubt in my mind up until she outed him that she loved her brother.
Oh, I didn't
Because
say she didn't
even when
love him.
she walked in on him and he was kind of like almost apologizing, she was like, "No, I love you for who you are."
No, she ran away first. She
Because
ran
it
out
was
the house.
shocking. You would have
It
stayed
was shot.
there.
Yep, she ran away. It was shocking. I think she got her wits about herself and she came back. And sitting on that same bed when she told him she accept him, how did she conveniently turn that into I have a secret too? And then all of a sudden she need him to act like he got a job and hold her secrets. I'm just saying, I'm not saying
Again,
she didn't love him, but I think she used his situation to her benefit, like she did with everything else. And Brooklyn, you know what? She okay, sometimes you can look at it and say she was young and she was doing this, but Brooklyn became a grown ass woman, still being all the way wrong.
I think that Brooklyn was a product of her environment. If you grow up getting over on people, that's what you see, that's what you learn, right? Her parents were getting over on the church. That's what she saw, that's what she learned. And I don't think overarching, that she was a bad person. I
So
think that
how
she
long
had
does
a
she get a
learned
pass?
behavior.
How long does she get a pass for her childhood now?
We ain't even talking about her childhood. I'm talking about that was ingrained in her.
Okay, so do
It
she
was
get a pass for
instilled
that?
in her
Or
to be manipulative, to get over. I don't think that,
so she was a good person, she was just manipulative and conniving and sneaky.
I'm not saying that she was a good person, but I don't think that she was a bad person. I think that people are giving her a case. Okay, for instance, let me say this. And we kind of getting off topic, but we got a little extra time because we was almost at the end last week, but we didn't want to rush it. But like this, for instance, right? I don't know the data around it, but I know from seeing it and growing up around it, most children who grow up with drug addicted or alcoholic parents become drug addicted or alcoholics, right? No? Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, right? Because I think that it is a learned behavior. They grew up around it. So yes, maybe now I am a drug addict and a bum and a this and a that. It was it was ingrained in me. I grew up around it. That's what I saw growing up. So I'm out here stealing to get high and all of this, and then you paint me as this person that's just like this bad person, and you don't give them any kind of grace for their upbringing. Am I making sense? Like, is that kind of like the same thing with Brooklyn and her parents? Just because they was in the church don't mean that they didn't have the devil in them basically steal from stealing. So it don't make it right that I stole, that I robbed the gas station and I'm on drugs now. But really, what do you expect? No,
That's your opinion.
you don't agree? No, I'm
um,
asking. I'm
and
asking.
I think you get to a point there's some stuff that's in you, but I think you get to a point and it's right or wrong because you was molested and raped as a child. You shouldn't be, it's like it wouldn't be right if you molest and rape some kids. I'm just using an example.
That's
And
a
if
good
you did, I
example.
don't
That's a
think
good
that
way to point out
I
it.
don't think anybody would look at you and say, you know what, he he got raped, sodomized, and so this is the reason why he's sodomizing school age kids because we got to give him some credit for
People
what
say
he
that
grew up
all the
with.
time.
I mean,
People
but
say
no,
the same thing with R. Kelly. People
but
say
what I'm
all the time,
saying is
not to
that
say that he was right in what he did, but it's like she just woke up one day and now she just manipulative and she just this bad person all of a sudden.
you know what? Hope was raised in the same house.
Okay, and she chose a different way to go.
And so it's a choice. So she didn't have to do stuff like she didn't have to out her brother the way that she did. She didn't have to sleep with her best friend's fiance. She didn't have to the dude who was there with her. She didn't almost have to like steal his stuff, and they caught her. We agree to disagree. I think Brooklyn was manipulative, conniving, and sneaky. I do think that the way that she was brought up probably did contribute to it, but I think we all grow up with some stuff, and it's just like LaCory in the chat. She said everybody got a vault of secrets.
I don't know what that means. LaCory elaborates. But anywho, okay, so boom. So we got Brooklyn. Everybody is painting her out to be the villain. I don't think that she is the villain. I think a lot of what she went through, and I mean, like just growing up with a mother that doesn't like you. Not saying that she should have done the things that she did or that they were even right. But like I don't know why everybody was so outraged about the type of stuff that she did. Like it was wrong, but it was just like I don't know. Anywho, so she's manipulative. Patrice said she manipulated her brother. I saw it differently. I thought she loved her brother. I think when she
She
outed
loved him.
him, her back was up against the wall and she was defensive. She was a kid, basically. What was she, 17? 17 years old. She acted out as a child would, and she outed her brother. And he, in that instance, his father got mad because he's gay. His father got mad, beat him up, put him out the house, and then he killed himself. Is that where we ended up last week?
Mm-mm. I
We got
think
all the way to when she stole the money and stuff.
I think we got to the point. Well, I guess we got past that because now I think we got to where she's grown. So now
Mm-hmm.
she's grown, and so she's then went, and so I think we're at the point where she's getting ready to go to, is it Stacy, and stay with Stacy, and Stacy gonna put her on.
And Stacy gonna put her on. Okay, so now she with Stacy. Okay, because she done ran away from home. The daddy didn't terrorize the whole house, put the brother out. Dang, we
Can
talked
I
about
mention one
Alonzo.
thing though?
Go ahead.
She went to her brother's funeral, but nobody really knew that she was there. Only person that knew she was there was his lover. But
Mhm.
when she sat there and she was talking to him. He's in the ground, and she talking still. She said, "But you didn't stick up for me." Like she still was like, he dead and in the ground. He killed himself in a horrific way, and still in that moment, she said, "But you didn't stick up for me. You didn't say nothing for me." And he dead. And so she's still at this point trying to spin it. And I guess because she's a kid, she's spinning it to where it's still somebody else's fault what happened. But I
She
was just
did it. She said she just needed him to hold on. She was trying to get put on for both of them. She was going to apologize for him. She knew she was wrong for outing him. She felt bad for it. And it was just like that was just her remorseful mind. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying that
I didn't see
even when he
none
was in
of
the
that
ground,
like that.
she
I
was
didn't
at his
see any of that.
casket. Well, she was there. I'll find it for her and send it to you. But she was there. She said, "You just wouldn't stick up for me, though." And it's just like this ain't about you. Just say goodbye to your brother.
Mm-hmm. I
All
get
roads
it.
lead back to Brooklyn.
All roads lead back to Brooklyn. All roads leads back to that mama and that daddy.
Yeah,
If you ask me, that's
yeah,
where the road leads to. The
yeah.
son,
And you know
hope,
what? And that and the daddy, I'm telling you, he died painful. That karma on him. You
because
know,
she didn't tell the daddy to put him out and beat him up.
no, that
Yeah,
was
she
on him.
outed him, but she didn't tell him to react that way. And what she said was she felt like she was setting him free. I'm letting you out. You ain't gonna tell, I'll tell on you.
That tells you she didn't know her brother.
She did. He was afraid. And he wanted to stay in his dad's shadow, but that left him living out of his truth.
It wasn't her right to say. Well, she set him free, all right, because he dead. That wasn't her. That wasn't her. That
she,
wasn't her plight.
she was not the killer of him. That
Okay.
father was. She wasn't the killer. She was not the killer. It was the daddy because
Okay.
he's the one who acted how he did. But so she been mad at the brother. I mean, she didn't say her goodbyes to her brother, and now she is a real drug dealer. Before she was just a drug mule, or is she still a drug mule?
She's still a drug mule. The silly
Okay.
damn fool. She's still a drug mule. She just know what the consequences are now because that's the good thing about Stacy. Because the boyfriend he had her, Alonzo or whatever his name was, he had her just
Mhm.
moving weight. And she didn't know what she was carrying, what it meant, what could happen, nothing. And everybody that she seen at that house was just like, he ought to be ashamed of himself. And she just thinking like, I'm grown. And when I go back, I'm gonna be fucking him all the time. He got a whole fiance at home that's drinking wine. She was
Mhm.
like, what is this? We don't drink wine.
So we holding him responsible for what she's doing. Everybody's looking at him like he's the bad guy because he got this little girl out here being a drug mule for him. For her parents, her other behavior, her manipulative and all of that. Everybody else get a pass, but Alonzo is the worst person in the world for having all her
I don't
sons.
think Alonzo was the worst person in the world. I think Alonzo used her, but I think she thought she was using him. And it's
She
like,
was in
girl,
love. She loved
your
that
brain.
man. That's why she went and got beat up.
I don't know how much in love she was with Alonzo. She
Hmm.
liked the money and she liked the freedom. And she thought she was on her grown people shit because she was fucking this grown man.
Hmm.
And then, but at the same time, she's so smart. He telling her, "Don't you ever, 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 ever come over here without calling. Ever come over here." But yeah, she thought she was grown. Um,
Hmm.
and I think that was part of it because she was able to she was able to leave him. You know, I think she was angry. I mean, who wouldn't be
Hmm.
angry? He got a fiance. But she goes to Stacy, and the reason why I say she was still a mule because she was still doing the exact same thing. She was just moving more drugs, which means more jail time for her if she got caught. But
Hmm.
Stacy was honest, and she said, "Look, this is what you doing, and we're gonna let you into our little family or whatever." But she was taking all of the risk, and Stacy gave her the rules. She told her what the rules were, and she sent her about her business, and she understood what was going on. But I feel like Stacy did like her to a certain extent. I don't think Stacy is gonna 100% just lock down with anybody, but I think she trusted Brooklyn as much as she was able to trust somebody. And the reason why I say that because the guy that she hooked her up with was somebody that she considered family. I can't remember
Hmm.
Brooklyn's boyfriend name, like when she got grown.
Hassan,
Was it
Haas. They
Hassan?
called him Haas.
Okay, then it was, yeah. Okay, so she told him, like, she told both of them, I think y'all would be good for each other. And so they ended up being a couple. And she let her know, like, as long as you good with him, you good with me. That
Mm-hmm.
tells you something when somebody say that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that it's as long as you and her cool, we good. So if we not cool, then what? So she let her know, from the beginning what it was.
Mm-hmm.
She was in the family by way of him.
Okay, so Stacy put her on. I do believe that Stacy had a soft spot for her.
I do. I do.
I believe that Stacy had a soft spot for her. And I think that Stacy was good for her because it was almost like she didn't just show her the drug game, she showed her the game, period, with
She
men,
mentored her.
everything, you know. So I think that's like you said, to as much as she could, she had her back. With that said, so the fallout of Stacy in Brooklyn is that Brooklyn, being young-minded, Stacy would call her partner. This is my partner. Like we partners in this, right? But Stacy is really the HBIC. She the head bitch in charge. She over everybody. She even over Haas,
And
right?
I'm like, Brooklyn, how you didn't know that? This her shit.
She said it. She was like, "This my partner. This my partner, Brooklyn. We in this together. We in this together." You know, and
Just
she
like
took
when
that.
my boss say, like we're all a team. I know that this money, I know that he is a millionaire and his status at the company is way different than mine.
But
So it's
you in your 50s, Patrice. This is a 17-year-old girl.
no, but this goes on from 17 until like 26.
You right.
She don't
She
learn
was
that she don't learn that they not partners. She's still taking the train. She's still taking the train to Baltimore. And she don't know that
she
now
got money at that point.
she do have money, but I'm just saying, but she's still getting on the train. The reason why she got money is because they got her moving more weight.
Right.
And I just think at some point in her mind, Brooklyn was not stupid. She was not
Hmm.
stupid. You do know that you and Stacy are not on the same level.
Okay, so with that being said, are we in agreement, and it's for the comments, that Brooklyn was wrong in what she did? The rules were don't make no outside deals. You go down there, you do what I tell you to do, you sell it for whatever I tell you to sell it for. Don't make no underhanded deals, right? She get down there. What was his name? He done slick talked her. He telling her,
I don't remember his name, but first, one of the things she made, Stacy gave her a lot of rules. She was like, you go down there, you don't make no noise. When she first went down there, she was staying in the one hotel. She wasn't going nowhere. She was door dashing her food because it's like you go down there and you invisible. And so she got older and she started spreading her wings. She started staying later. She started getting her hair done down there. She met friends down there. She started looking. And so and I'm not saying that she shouldn't have did that because she was trying to better herself. And at that point, I don't think she meant Stacy any harm. Again, that was not, she was naive.
mm-hmm.
She got manipulated. She got manipulated by that she got manipulated by that guy.
I don't even think so. I think she made a smart move. It was a whole storyline around the whole drug thing. The drugs were drying up. Nobody was
Yeah.
getting any money. And this my livelihood too, just like it's your livelihood. This how I make my money, just how you make your money. Things is drying up. He made sense to her. And she, like you said, she wasn't dumb. It
Should
made
she have
sense. It
discussed
made
that with
sense to
Stacy?
me.
Should she have discussed it with Stacy first before she
Did
made
she
that
call
move?
Stacy or something?
Mm-mm.
It wasn't like she was trying to hide it from
No, no,
her.
she was planning on so her thing was after she made that deal, I think she stayed there another day, and then she was going back to tell Stacy what she did. Another thing that was happening was Hassan, Hassan mama. Now she was hating on them. When that joker told her that they couldn't get my mama want a house, so we're not gonna be able to like do the stuff that we've been planning. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
come on now. But
So, like with Hassan, okay, so let's finish out
back in the
Stacy.
car, back in the car.
So with Stacy, she made a side deal, which wasn't really a side deal, but she made a side deal. She made an executive decision. She thought
And she
she's
didn't mean no
making
harm
an
because she
executive
didn't short
decision.
Stacy's money. She did not short Stacy's money. She shorted her own self. She didn't divide up the loss. She shorted her own self. And she really planned on coming back and telling Stacy. But what she forgot was that this is not your business. Like, you are not in charge of the girls. You
Mm-hmm.
can't make no decisions. And you know what? And Stacy, she remember when Stacy said, I remember how you did your brother. I don't know, like,
I
I can't
was
trust
thinking
you.
that when Stacey was like, I got you, you can work with me. I was kind of like, I was kind of thinking like you gotta watch Brooklyn a little
Yeah,
bit.
because she
Like
just did.
she
She
took
did this
her
to
right
her
in.
brother. She stole the money from the church. So I would have took the money from the church too. But I'm just saying, you see what happened when her back was up. In two instances, she didn't told you her back was against the wall, and she flipped on people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think I understand. I guess if I was a drug lord, I understand where Stacey was coming from. I understand where Stacey was coming from, but as a human being, I felt like she overreacted. I think she got in her feelings and was like, "This my shit," and really didn't hear Brooklyn out. And I think they kind of just threw her to the wolves. And then with Hassan, because people saying that she did him wrong. All I'm trying to do is better our life. I want you out the drug game. I'm doing everything I can to get us out of this
But
or
Shaquana,
whatever. Mm-hmm.
so when I'm looking at this little girl, Brooklyn, well, she grown by now. This all happened in a span of hours. So you were saying you think she was too hard on her. So what happens is whenever pressure is on her, she flip on people because this is hours, not days. So immediately she go home and she mad and she getting ready to steal all of his shit immediately. Huh? I ain't hear you.
He was putting her out, wasn't he?
No, he did not put her out. He did not put her out. So after she had this conversation with Stacy, he didn't say we broke up, we done, we nothing. They go get in the car. She mad. She was like, "Why you didn't say nothing to stick up for me or whatever?" And he was like, "Cause you wrong. This ain't your product." And he told her Stacy is in charge. She was like, "But we were partners." He was like, Stacy is in charge. She is the one taking all of the risk. She's the one that's fronting all of the money. This is Stacy's business. So they get to the house, to their apartment that they share together, and he's there. They get into an argument. He pissed off. He leave. He don't put her out. They still together. She say, "Fuck this shit." And she started packing. She packed her stuff. She went and took all of their money. She went and took all of his jewelry, all of that. And then she's getting as much as she can into her car. This is a span of hours. So we haven't, you know how when they say we trying to work on our relationship, you can't work on your relationship in 2 hours.
She saw the writing in the wall from the mama.
Yeah,
From
she
the
did.
mama. So
She
you
did.
turned on me with your mama, first of all. Now you supposed to be my man. I don't care if Stacey is in charge. And then you gonna ride with Stacey over me too? No, we ain't together no more. No,
and so
you
she
riding
so
with everybody but me.
and so her back is against the wall, so she steals all of his stuff. And so when they go, so she's leaving out, and when she goes out to the car, they pull up. And she like, oh shoot, because she trying to leave before he can get there and see that she taking all of his stuff. Because she like, I'm gonna still go start me a new life. And he was telling her, he was like, Brooklyn was naive. They was like, when Stacy said, when you sitting up here talking about how you gonna do all of this stuff, it sounds like a kid playing with Monopoly money. Like it's more to it than what you saying. You just can't go and do this, and this, and make all of that happen. It's more
Mhm.
to it. And so she felt like they were shitting on her dream. So of course she was backed against the wall again. So she gonna steal their stuff and run. Cause she's done it before. No?
Hell no. I mean, that's a fact. What you're saying are facts, but she had to look out for herself.
I
She felt
agree.
like she didn't have anybody. From the
So
parents' house to Stacy, now to the boyfriend. It's like I ain't got nobody but me. My mama been putting me down from jump. not to say it's right or wrong, but I'm just saying, like, put yourself in her shoes.
Right. So okay, so immediately following this, he takes so all she got is like $4,000. She go back to Baltimore and she gonna go to her friend's house, the one who did the hair.
Stacy was about to kill her or something.
Oh yeah, well Stacy was about to jump on her because Brooklyn jumped bad and was talking about her dead boyfriend and all that kind of stuff. I think Stacy ended up hitting her or whatever, but Haas said go ahead and let her go. Let her go. And they
Let
said
her
but
take
keep
it.
that but keep that bag right there. The one that had all of the money and the jewelry in it, they kept that and they let her go with the car. And so she left, went to the car and went back to Baltimore to her friend's house that she had met up there that had been doing her hair and stuff, and she was engaged and all that. That girl's friends didn't like her, but she liked her. We
And
tolerate
she
her.
took up for her.
She took up for her, and they tolerated her because she was cool with this girl. So she said, "You got a place to stay." She said, "I'm gonna be out as soon as I can." She know her money dwindling, her dreams have went down the drain, and so she said, "No, you can stay here for as long as you need to with me and my fine ass fiance, who's a chef, who cook for us every night, and you know how that cooking with love is." And I don't think this dude was a bad guy.
He wasn't.
He wasn't no bad guy. And I think he
He
really
was.
loved her friend.
So he good.
I don't think he was a bad guy. What he did was messed up and it might have
You
cost him his
saying the same
relationship.
thing that I'm saying about Brooklyn. I think that she was a bad person. She made some bad mistakes. He made a mistake, but he wasn't a bad person, like you're saying.
I
He
didn't
slept
see, I
with
didn't,
her.
I, he did sleep with her. And so the thing, so she's staying with them. She depressed and everything. And her friend is nursing her through that. She ain't got no money. She ain't got no job. And it's hard to go to work every day and come back and watch somebody who's been resting all day. That is hard for me. But this girl is at home resting every day, all day. And when she get home, they cook her food. They got her food and all of that. So there's this particular thing. This girl is supposed to go and do something with her friends, and her fiance is supposed to be gone. He was catering something, so he was supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
gone a weekend. The catering job got canceled. And so, they were there at the house and they talked. It ain't no funny business or not. It ain't none of those things where he was like, I was sitting next to her and my dick jumped. It wasn't none of that. It wasn't none of that. He did ask her about her past, like, okay, what are you really into? I mean, I got family and I'm not street, but I got family that's street. And so they talked or whatever. But he went on up to bed. She ate food. She sat down there and got drunk, went to her room, and
They
she,
both was drinking. I'm like, why do people do this? Like,
why
why
do
would
they
you
do
sit and
that?
drink with your friend, man?
And
Why is
so
you sitting
he
up here drinking like this and getting drunk?
But you know what? Brooklyn didn't even want him. Like never, he was never a thought before, and it wasn't like she was giving him googly eyes. It was just she was in her room. She was depressed, and I guess she didn't even want him. It wasn't like because you know how you read some of these books and it's like, she was pining after her man, and she didn't even want him.
This was the
And
first
she
time
wasn't
that
a
I saw
promiscuous
her in
girl.
the light that everybody else saw her.
She
I
wasn't a
didn't see
promiscuous
her
girl.
in this light until then. I feel like her friend and Hope, her friend, this girl and Hope were the only two people that she really like wronged.
But Brooklyn was never, you know how you hear about like because I thought it was gonna be a story. She was fucking everybody. She wasn't promiscuous. She
Mm-mm.
didn't have sex with a bunch of people. She
She was
wasn't,
jealous of the friend. The friend had the big house and the family, was close and all that stuff,
and a
and
man who
jealous
really cared
envy
about her and
got
fighting
into
and
her.
and fighting for her dreams. And he proposed.
Mm-hmm.
He put a ring on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so she gets out. So when she got in her bed, first of all, it's just them two in the house. You don't need to be even in your bed naked. She in her bed naked.
Who let their friend come stay with them and they man?
I'm not that type of person.
What you mean, Patrice?
What's that? I'm not that type of person to have somebody else. It's only room for one cat in my house, and it's mine.
So what you gonna do? Put up in a hotel, or just tell her she can't stay?
She can't stay. You know what? We read a book a while back, but the thing is, I'm gone for the weekend. So are you. I'm not, things happen. It's so many instances in real life that I know that this has happened and in book life where they don't even intend on doing this, but it just happens. You got two beautiful people, young, tight, titty sitting up here, his stomach, washboard abs. And they both been drinking. It's a recipe for disaster. So of course she gets out of bed naked and go down the hall to his room. And he sleep because he's not thinking about fucking her. And he look at her and she try to go and hug him and or whatever. And he's like, no, no, stop.
He said no one time.
No, no, no.
He's like, oh hell.
He couldn't have stayed at my house with me and my man. And he cooking for you every day.
Uh-huh.
Talking about what is that? Is that a hint of cinnamon? They're like, hell no. Hell
He
no.
got him two women. They're a throuple.
He not getting ready to be cooking for
Maybe she
you
got
and
her signals crossed. Maybe she thought they was all in the same relationship.
mm-mm. So these fools now him, I don't think neither one of them intended on doing this. Brooklyn knew what she was doing. So he didn't got she didn't fuck them into submission. He didn't fell asleep. These silly damn fools forgot they was in this girl's house. They in there cuddled up after, what do they call that when you're in your post-coital bliss? These silly damn fools is in post-coital bliss, curled up in her house on
In
her
her
second
bed.
floor in her bed under her comforter, curled up
Yeah.
naked.
Brooklyn needed to be down.
And she came home. She come home to surprise her good man.
she she needed another ass whooping like that other girl. When she went out for love dogs, she needed them hands. Now she deserved it this time. The last time I felt bad for her, but this time
Look, she deserved it when Tracy whooped her ass, and she deserved it this time too. And okay, and wait a minute. When you say she didn't deserve it that time, you know what? Alonzo let all of that happen, but that was that woman's fiance. It was. It was. That was, she was engaged to Alonzo. And that was some her cousin called and said, look, I love my cousin, but girl, look, you need to stop. He is married. He's getting ready to get married. But anyway, getting back in the
her
car.
cousin should have told her, don't take your ass over there. That girl got hands.
She say, whoop that trick. Get her.
She got beat up. But no, that friend should have tapped her. That friend should have tapped on her a little bit. But she just got mad and threw her out. She ain't beat her up, did she?
But you know what? Her putting her out and telling her, like, you dead to me and all of that, that killed Brooklyn in itself. Everybody else did that to her. And that showed her, like, look,
That was the last person she had.
that was the last person that she had. And that girl didn't need to put no hands on her because that girl was beat down when she left there. She didn't have no place to go. Her little $4,000 was already dwindling. I think she went and did she go and stay in like a Motel 6 type of hotel or something?
Did she sleep in her car?
Did she sleep in her car or did she go to
She slept in her car one day.
a
She had it
dirty?
bad. She had it bad. And I still blame her mama and her daddy.
But
So
look,
she, mm-hmm.
so her dad, all of alone, she's talking to her friend on the phone every now and then. She was like, you need to come home. Your dad didn't have a stroke. You need to come home. Your dad's health is taking a turn for the worse. She was like, nah, it ain't time. It ain't time.
She
I'm not.
said, now see, Patrice, now
What,
come on now.
what did
Tell
she
it
say?
like it is. She said, if I come, I'm going to make it worse. He's
That is
suffering
that is true.
enough.
That is true. you know what? In her mind, I think she did believe that, and I could see where that it could be the case. But her dad really wanted to see her. But it would have made it worse because her mother would have had a conniption fit.
And she knew that.
Yeah, her
And
mother would
she
have had a
wanted to see
conniption
her
fit.
daddy. She felt bad about her brother. I mean, she just wasn't
But
this
you know what I didn't
monster
like?
that everybody tried to paint her out to be. To
So
me.
okay, so yeah, I'm still painting her as old heathen because when she talks to her friend, I think her name was Erica, her best friend,
Mm-hmm.
she's saying, "No, I'm not coming back home." No. And then she was like, "Well, I heard there was a will." And her eyes did just like yours. I heard there was a will and that there was money left for you. And she was like, da-da-da, da-da-da. And so by the end of that conversation, she said, "You know what? Maybe it is time for me to come home."
She went home because she didn't have nowhere else to go. She been knew that the daddy had unpaid.
No, no,
She
no, no,
didn't have
no.
nowhere.
She
She
knew that
had to
he
go home.
but no, she wasn't going until they told her until her friend told her that there was a will left and she was in it. She
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going home before then. And so now this right here, I do believe when she went home, it reminded me of The Color Purple when
It
Suge
reminded me of the
Avery
color
opened the
purple
doors to
too.
that
Yes,
church. It's like maybe God is trying to
yes,
tell you something. It's like, hey, sweet
yes.
night.
I was thinking the same thing.
And I think that reception that she got at church, I think she really did need that. And I think it did do something to her spirit.
That
And
broke my heart.
because she, regardless of what she liked or didn't like about her parents, she was raised in the church and she do know who God is. And, you know, so I think that that really did move her in the way they loved on her and they sang and all of that kind of stuff. And her mother, she hugged her mother and she thought that that might be authentic, but while everybody was there, her mother was acting like, it's all good, the prodigal daughter is home. I don't want to be called prodigal. But she went home. Anita said she went home for the money and she intended to leave right after. So they at that church, and after everybody is gone, her mother let her know, if you here for the money, over my dead body, you won't see a red cent. You will not see a red cent. And then she needed a place to stay. I don't think people was willing to let her stay with them. But her sister let her come and stay with her. But they they ended up seeing that it was about the money, that she was there to get the money.
Hope was such a sweet person. She had
But
a
even
really
Hope was pissed at her. Hope was like,
at the end, but when she first came back, she was happy to see her sister. She
she
wanted
was.
her there.
And
Hope
she
had
thought
got
her
her a
sister,
husband and everything, honey. I was so happy for her because I just knew she was about to be jacked up after all that stuff happened at their house.
and then you love that Hope had a husband. And I'm not saying he was normal, but he wasn't at church with her. He was at home. When she got home from church, he had a couple beers. He was watching his game. So she had a no, I mean, not saying that going to church is normal, but you know what I mean? Like she had a guy who was a regular good guy with a good job. He didn't necessarily, it wasn't like you got to be up here at church. We want you to be assistant pastor. It wasn't nothing like that. She had a regular guy. I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought it was too. There was a good spin on that. And Hope ended up saying, you never tried to get to know me. You thought I was a goody two shoes, but I had my own mind. But I was smart enough to know that I had to put on to get along. Her and the brother. Brooklyn was a little off. She was a little thrown off, but I got it. She was a little thrown off, but I understood where she was coming from with it. But so she went back home to get the money from the daddy from after he passed. This was just a sad story. This
Can
was
I ask
just
you a
a really
question,
sad
Shaquana,
story.
real quick? I want
Mhm.
to ask you this for B Marie in the audience. I mean, in the chat said, do you think that this would be a good book for a church book club?
Yeah, yeah. Because it's not a lot of spice in it. It's not a lot of, like shoot 'em up, bang, bang. Yeah, this would be a good,
Yeah,
I think
I
it'll
think
be
it
a good
is.
discussion
It would be a
about
good
the
but you
church
know
hurt.
what? even with the shoot 'em up, bang bang, and all of that kind of stuff, like the way that Tracy Brown wrote, she wrote it real. And so sometimes when we in the church, we try to act like everything's so perfect when we know it's not. It's
Hmm.
like this is the real, this is real stuff. This is what really happens, what really goes on in families. People do have people in their families that are gay. They do have people in their families that are promiscuous, or people who are adult. Like that's real life, and that stuff really goes on in the church. And so I think even with the little bit of spice that it does have, I think if it's an open mind and they can really read it and have some true dialogue behind it, I think it would be a great book. But it's got to
Good
be,
discussion book.
it can't be like the holier than thou, like, oh, they said damn, it can't be that type of people.
Baby, don't be talking about your church people. Hold on now. So she back at home. She thinks she about to get this money. So Erica, the best friend, was feeling the type of way when she was like, "Yeah, I need to talk to you about that money, sis." And it was like, dang, we thought she had really came back because she missed us. But really, she just came back for the money. So the best friend and the guy that the brother was messing with before he committed suicide was like looking at each other because they were all friends. They like, dang, she low down. She low down. Again, I don't know. Brooklyn just kind of pulled them on her springs a little bit. They was like, she low
Even
down, she
even
low down.
even her even Hope's husband,
Husband.
when she came, he was like, "This your sister?" He's like, "This her?"
Y'all need to get her back up in the church. Something else. I I put it all on her. I put it all on their mama. I'm blaming the mama. But so she went back to get the money. And you want to talk about how she got murdered?
So she is seriously about the money, and she was staying with her sister or whatever, but I think she ended up leaving there, and she got a phone call, and she no, she didn't get a phone call, she got a text from that she thought was her sister,
Because she
telling
went
her
back to stay at the hotel.
she went back to stay at the hotel. And so she got a text from her sister saying, meet me at the park. I got your money. I want to give you this money. And she was like, okay. And so this girl, when it came to this money, I don't think she could see anything else, because by the time she realized, like, okay, wait a minute, this ain't right. They didn't lead her. It was almost like one of them Jason movies. They didn't lead her all the way down and in the dark in the woods. But anyway, so her sister kept saying, yeah, I'm walking my dog. Just meet me down here. So she kept going and going. And then finally she was like, wait a minute, what's going on? And then a dark figure steps out.
So
And
y'all remember at the beginning of the book that we talked about last week, it started off with her death and her losing her life.
so
So
you
now,
always knew she was going to die.
hmm
And
so
so
now
after
we
the
know
years,
what's
and she
going
was
on.
26, she was like right at 26. But he ended up, well, I want to say, did he hit her over the head? He talked to
Hmm.
her though, didn't he? I think he did talk to her, like she knew who did this to her. But the way he killed her, you knew that it was a crime of passion, because
Hmm.
he choked her. He didn't take no money and all of that kind of stuff. And I remember the police officer saying, "What was this like? What did they do what did this girl get herself into?"
Hmm.
But the man, the organ player at the church, was in love with her brother, and I think he suffered a forever broken heart. I think he suffered a forever broken heart. And you got to imagine how he must have felt, because they both were in love with each other, but then he jumped off of his building. So you came back to my house and jumped off. Like that's traumatic.
And
And
to see that she hadn't changed,
a bit.
I think may have triggered him.
When he came back, because I don't think he intended on, when she came back, I don't think when he saw her in the church, I'm gonna kill her. But he did feel he was side eyeing her. But
Hmm.
when Erica and him looked at each other like, yeah, she's still on that same stuff. And so when she was at the hotel, she was just like, I'm gonna get my money and I'm getting out of town. I'm not staying here. Her mother read her. Her mother was,
Again, like why you want to stay and subject yourself to that?
yeah, her mother was her mother. But you know what? Her mother wasn't the
Her mother was trash.
No, no, her mother was trash. And so stay there with her mother and be in the church? Probably not. But she did have a sister who loved her and then she had her best friend who loved her. But to be honest, I probably wouldn't have wanted to stay in that town either. But like get my money tonight and fly to Coop and nobody knows and ditch them again like you did before.
Hmm.
You know, that right there, I don't think that that's right. That's not what they gave her.
Hmm. Especially not Hope. Hope really loved her. And she really wanted to have a relationship with her. I think Brooklyn just felt like she couldn't relate to her. Maybe like she was like a goody two shoes or like perfect Patty, and here I am
It's
over here
like
being a
she
child.
resented her sister in the big, like her mother did her when she was little. The
Hmm.
same, like, I mean, not in the same way, but it was like that same kind of like a quiet resentment towards her sister. She had that
Hmm.
towards her sister, like her mother had it towards her.
Yeah.
And it just grew. But anyway, Brooklyn ended up dead. And they found her body the next day,
And it was
strangled.
a bad, gruesome death.
Yeah, I think she had been hit in the back of the head, like a crushed skull, and then she was choked to death. They didn't take, and I want to say he took off her clothes.
Mm.
I think he took off her clothes, but she had not been raped. She hadn't none of that. It was just
And she was like a Jane Doe for a long time. Nobody knew who she was until Hope came to the station. It was like, I think that might be my
my
sister.
sister. I think that might be
Mm,
my sister.
When you run off like that, right? And you're known for running and just running off and with no trace, that's the kind of stuff that happened because
Anita,
nobody is
why did
looking
he
for
take
you.
off her clothes? Do you remember? I don't know why he took off her clothes. I didn't get that part, but anyway, they did.
The
But
book was amazing.
this was a really good book, but
Her
it
books
was
be
sad.
heavy. Her books be heavy, baby. She gonna lay it on thick. But I can't close my eyes. I can't stop watching.
But
I be
Shanika, what I think
begging
about her
for it.
books, when you told me to read this, because I hadn't read it, and you said it's just sad. So when we read sad, I be thinking it's gonna be like that, make you want to cry, choked up. It was a different kind of sad. It was sad to
It's
watch
heavy.
this young girl live the life that she did, a life where
And
she
die the way
didn't
she
know
did.
peace and die the way that she did because she wanted her independence and it's just she wanted to be grown and to flee her parents and all along the people was telling her like I wish I had parents who watched after me and didn't let me just do anything or I'm telling you remember in the book that's what her best friend said.
But I'm reading a book and I'm reading about the parents, and the parents is not giving knight in shining armor.
No, her parents didn't
Not
even get
good,
that.
wholesome parents.
But when you on the other side of that and you don't have any parents and you raising yourself and you see somebody over here who every day when you see them, they clean, they fed, they got money, they family got money, they drive nice cars, and her hair always done. She got the newest Louis Gucci, purses and all that kind of stuff. When you over here and you don't have that and your mama not in the house or your daddy not there and y'all barely making it, you do look and say, I wish I had that.
You do because you don't know she's
Because you
living
don't
in
know what's
hell
going
with
on.
his mama
Well, the
every
grass
day.
is not always green on the other side. And what I found about their mama, Hope had it figured out. You leave that girl, that woman alone, she leave you alone.
Yeah, you play the game.
You
You
play the
put up
game.
the appearance, you
I
gonna
mean,
be
even when you
good.
got good
And
parents, you
Brooklyn
still
didn't
play the
do
game to
that.
get what you want. But it was this book was just sad to me just to see the way that her life ended up and to see the way that her brother ended up hurt and the trail of not saying that she was a bad person, but the trail of hurt that she left in her dust. Cause she definitely She left a trail of hurt people in her
Everybody
butt.
was using and getting used. Stacy was using and getting used. Hassan was using and getting used because he knew who she was when he started messing with her. He knew what happened when he started messing with her. He knew
I think
her
he knew more
baggage
than
and
he
the
knew
stuff
more than
that she
Stacey
had
knew.
going on when he started messing with her, but he still wanted to mess with her. He messed with her. And to me, she just wanted better for him. And the mama wanted to be taken care of.
That's true.
So,
I
I
still
don't know.
feel like it was sad because it was a path of destruction. Regardless, it was caused on different sides. It was just a lot of people hurt. Oh, and the what last person I want to mention who was just funny as heck, the lady in church, Alonzo Mama. She was so funny.
What
Miss
she
Quicker
do?
than she was just funny because she thought she was the shit, but she her status, she was standing on top of drug money. She was standing
Get
on
every
top of
day,
drug
baby.
money. And I was she messing around with the daddy too?
No.
I was
Mm-mm.
just wondering. I didn't know because I know he was messing with some of everybody.
She might have been,
And you know
but
what?
it didn't come up in the book.
When you hear them church wives, like when you hear that stuff, it's like they know that they husband, like they watching this woman hug on their husband
And one
and all
lady was getting real
that.
close.
And they just got to sit up there and just act
And imagine being a child
watching
that
this.
has to see this. You sitting in the pew, your daddy is up there preaching,
He up there
honor thy
hoochie
wife,
cooing with this woman in the church.
honor thy family. Lord told me to tell y'all to be faithful. And you got your hand on Miss Booty Juicy.
What the hell, Shaquana? You're so silly.
you you got your hand down, Miss Baby Lee shirt. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching and I'm confused. I'm like,
And I
he just
wondered the way
said
it was written, it made me think that after everything happened with his son, I think he cleaned up his act. But by then, that karma was on his tail.
it was. It
He
was.
died a
And
slow, painful
I
death.
lost all respect for that daddy that night. Cause you're supposed to be the head of the household. Leave. Not saying you have to be okay with your son's lifestyle, but the way that he acted was just completely out of line.
And then the son tried to come back the next day to get some of his things. And his
Mhm.
dad wouldn't even, it's like, that hurt my heart.
Again, and you preaching up forgiveness and
Hmm.
God forgives you, and you want to throw me out on the cold? What the hell is going on here, sir? So it was a sad book, but I like reading her books because when you unfortunately you have an untimely death, it's like your words live on. So to be able to still read her writing and experience the emotions and all of that that you go through while you're reading, it kind of, you kind of still feel her spirit.
And I
So,
love that her books are still jumping in different book groups. Like you look in different groups and they still reading Tracy Brown, even though I think she's been gone for maybe 2 years now.
mhm,
Has it been about 2 years? Yeah,
yeah.
people are still reading her books. They're still talking about her books. It's still very relevant. And so I do love that. I do love that.
What's going on in the book world? I'm gonna stop this recording, but we got a book event in Dallas